up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse, from the rough yesterday, right before a better tomorrow. This is State of the Game. I am Dan O, the king of air hockey today. I beat my family in air hockey soundly. It was wonderful. So I'm high. I'm high off that. I'm joined every week by my co-host. Basically, if this is the Godzilla universe, he's Mothra, right? He's the heart of the story. Thank you, Kay, for being here, as you are every week.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And we're lucky enough to have some wonderful guests with us. You know, just great to have people who are very talented returning to the show. The Bishop Don Juan of the Beat Switch, Controller 7. Thank you for coming back after dropping the amazing album with Video Dave, and being here with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. And today is actually 1 year of the Video Dave album.
Everybody should check that. It's awesome. Yeah. And we've been very lucky to see this group in concert several times. Saw them tear down a show right outside of the Mr. Bagel, one of the most important rap groups in the world. Prem Rock, Curly Castro, Shrapnel, thank you for being here.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we are here, and you guys have just released Nobody Planning to Leave, which is it's an awesome reaction for me to see, because I'm always surprised, and it fortifies my hope in the world when I see how patient and thoughtful Backwoods fans take in new releases. Have you guys been experiencing that? Like, people really digging in and wanting to understand this album?
I think so. Yeah. It's definitely a repeated listen. It rewards repeated listens, and I think that's definitely the following we've cultivated. People that are going to want to hear it again and find the Easter eggs and talk amongst themselves and tweet things out. And yeah, I think it's great. It's exactly who I want as supporters. So it's nice. It's nice to see.
Yep. Yeah. No, this and I was really struck by this album. I want to start by asking Controller 7, when you were putting together the demo, right, to send to Shrapnel, here's my pitch, I want to do the album, here's what I'm thinking. What did you see as the strengths of Shrapnel? What did you see as the reason you wanted to engage?
I mean, I'm a fan of them as individually and as a group, and so we had done the song on Sedale Threat, which was kind of like a Prem solo, but Castro was on it too. So I was interested in working with them. The strength of each of them, I mean, I kind of love how dynamic Castro is, and then Prem is sort of like the balance to him. Has his own dynamic, but they balance each other out. And I think we kind of ended up making a bunch of songs that actually fit that balance. There's, like within one song, there's sort of the up and the not that it's a down, but there's like the really intense and the more restrained. Yeah, so just I'm a fan of both of them individually, but I mean, I think they make an awesome group.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I that's a great summation. I think I would add that the cool thing is both Prem and Castro are capable of incredibly strong work outside of what you perceive as their primary strengths. You know, if you view Prem as the stable one, Prem can get crazy, and it's fun, right? And Castro likewise can dial it down, lock in, and it's amazing in a hush. So I think that's you
Mhm.
definitely see that on this album as well.
Mhm.
I think so.
Absolutely. I was struck by like the Castro the story at the end of 9 Milli. I was really struck by like the tone that Castro delivers it in. It's so quiet. It's such a quietly
Mhm.
delivered story. It feels like he's whispering it to you in a church pew. You know? And I just thought that was really a hell of a choice. So I think that's maybe an example of that.
I don't know if Castro wants to add on to that, but I believe part of the tone of it was those were true stories, so they had a seriousness and a weight for him.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that part wasn't. That was a little overzealous on my part because I actually I went ahead and did that without really telling Prem I was going to do something like that, and we would go back. We went back and forth about it because it made the song a certain length with the outerlude that Prem at one point thought that might disrupt its streaming capabilities, but yeah, it's you. I usually don't. We usually don't. It's hard to explain. I'm trying to explain it to them, Prem. We usually don't like. We're not like 2 or 3 steps ahead of one another
Right.
most times. So, but when we were going over it, I remember telling Prem, well, that's kind of what the beat was telling me to do. And when I'm saying a couple of steps ahead is because I didn't give us him or I a chance to rap over it. We didn't write any raps over that part. So I just felt like I had, and I was coming up with it. And I think I came up with it in secret in a sense because I was trying to get the cadence down where I was trying to fit both stories in for the length of the beat. And so because I was working on it that way, it wasn't ready to be presented like, yo, Prem, I'm gonna tell these stories about guns and stuff. I just did it and felt like it fit. And then he kind of figured it out in the studio. But no, we kept it. And so that was cool. But that was one of those instances where I had more of an idea than I let my partner know. And we just kind of sussed
Yeah,
it out
so
in the
that
studio.
kind of sorry, that kind
Yeah,
of brings up a question that I've always wondered. So you two started as individual artists, right? Like you each started on your own paths.
yes, sir.
Explain to me like the process of you guys blending your talents together to form the group.
Go
Well,
ahead,
it's a
Prem.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot of trust, like on on the Deep Space story. Like I trust him. I trust his decisions to do, even if I'm not around for that portion or whatever. So I had a little, pushback only because I think we had to shave off something like 3 minutes.
We had time thing on the
Yeah,
entire project. So stuff like
which
that would
yep.
come up as parts to like, we have to trim things to. So, okay, to answer just to jump in with premise saying, so you have to a certain length. So this is something we learned. Now this is a Woods commandment, if you will. So when you go to Backwoods and you're presenting, and that's why it's so impressive what Cavalier was able to do. Woods is really all about one plate. And when I say one plate, that means a 44-minute record or less, right? Prem, that's the timing.
I think 44. Yeah, my 44 might even be too much.
44 is put. So let's just say for the listeners at 42 and a half minutes, because what it does is that requires one piece of vinyl. When I say one plate, anything that bleeds over it, and this is the funny thing about double vinyl is if it's 46 minutes or 48 minutes, it's double vinyl. This is just not enough space.
Yeah.
So when we have those decisions, and to tell y'all the truth about, we could tell you the behind the scenes, it's, I don't know, maybe $800 to $1,000 more to have two pieces of vinyl when you started off of one. It adds enormous to the cost. And when you add to the cost, you have to order more to make justifiable what
Break
you're paying for it to
Wow.
make it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so when something costs more, you end up having to even order more to sell more to make back that money that you did. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
this song comes up, and I'm glad Brent brought this up, and I'll let my partner finish, because if we have to slice things, you cannot be emotional about it. And things like a talking interlude or just playing around in the beginning of a track, those might have to be sacrificed for the greater good.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Prem. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And a major tip of the cap to Cav with Different Type Time, because that record does deserve the double vinyl.
It definitely does. I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
but he went past the 44. I'm giving you an hour
Yeah,
of blade work. So he gave you a nice, good, hefty size of satchel
It's a-
for you to throw
it's
over
a
your
movie.
shoulder.
It's a movie, right? But yeah, no. So we made some decisions. I don't think we had to cut too much, but you get down to like the real fine tooth, combing of the record, and then so in my head, my whole thing was, I thought, okay, do we need this, right? And now I'll tell you why we absolutely did need it. Obviously, well, you brought it up, which is interesting enough, but when we shot the video, we gave the album to Henry Blake Nelson, who then shared it with his father, Tim Blake Nelson, and they made a decision on what song they wanted to shoot. And they actually they had a kind of a short list, and we gave our opinions back. I won't get into all that, but Deep Space 9 Milli is one that they both agreed on, and partially because they had an idea for the story. So if we don't, if we cut that story, you don't, maybe they pick another song, we get a different video.
point.
Who knows? It's a
Yeah,
it's
no,
real
that's a
perspective.
good point. The fact that the song had 3 movements in it, I think lent to them with their narrative that they had in mind. And when you work with Mr. Tim, his son is very skilled, but when you work with Mr. Tim, you start seeing, oh, this guy's an auteur, because he kept talking about the connective tissue when he was telling us the premise, he's going us through the scenes. He kept saying the story has to connect here and has to connect there and has to connect there. And I think the way we laid out the lyrics led him to thinking of all that connective tissue. If you watch the video more with a fine-tooth comb, you see it's like a little narrative. We start, he's doing dishes, we get disrupted by the guy, then I rap. So it's like, it's more than just a bunch of connective scenes. It's almost, it's very narrative. We didn't even know they were going to go that far.
And he made us do a lot of takes, and I think any good director will, but he made us do a lot. And then he would ask, as guys would come in and pick up their food, he'd be like, "Hey, you want to be in the video?" And they'd be like, "Sure," but then they're doing it 7-8 times. So it's more than they bargained for. He's like, "Again, that was perfect. Again."
And I had to tell him, all right, I had to tell him, if you ask this neighborhood cat to do this thing 2 more times, he's going to ask you for money.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
let's cut it. Let's get the takes. Let's pack it
Right.
up.
Yeah.
Literally, and they wouldn't have been wrong for it, but I know cats. You're in their hood, he's
Uh-huh.
kind of doing things, and you didn't really ask permission. But now we're like doing the 6th take. All right, you need to come up off a bean, homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not just a local inconvenience. Mind you, we shut down the store. People still came in. So that's
Yeah.
another little cute thing about the video. While we were shooting, they were still packing and shipping out orders. They
Yeah.
were still in business. They was doubling down.
And I was complaining about being tired, and shouts to Hong, who was like the guy who owned the shop, right?
Yeah, he's in the last shot.
And so yeah, and I'm I'm in the back or whatever, doing take after take, and I'm like, whew, and like I kind of exhale, and he's just like, "This isn't real work."
He did say that. Han did tell us that this isn't real work. This is fantasy.
He goes, "Real work is peeling shrimp for 8 hours. That's real. That's real." I'm like, "True."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the funny part was when we did the scene with the guy getting disruptive and we kick him out the store. Han said, "Oh, that's how it used to be here.
Yeah.
That used to happen every day. If that didn't
He
happen
was-
every day, we didn't have an open store." He would say he
Yeah.
would debate it like that. We weren't open if that didn't happen once a day.
Throwing soda cans at people.
So throw
Yeah.
somebody out. That was funny.
Yeah. So he had been there for a long time. Everybody knew him. Everyone that came in had a dialogue with him. So it was a cool experience. So that video doesn't happen, perhaps,
Perhaps. Well, we're not going to let it be known, but there was a video tried by 2 different directors, but it was a scheduling thing. So we'll let that out. So yeah, there was other videos that were like thought of, but execution wise, this one.
I think we could
We could have pulled. No, we could have pulled. If scheduling, we could have pulled it off. We're not going to say what it was, but it had to do with scheduling, touring.
Yeah.
Me being up and back and forth to New York. So yeah, if we had different scheduling, we could have pulled it off for sure.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry for the
something
Yeah,
else that makes the
Go ahead, Tom.
the length of the album is even more complicated in the sense because it's not just the total length of the album. The vinyl basically was the vinyl that we were working with, and it's the two halves. So you actually have to try to get it to divide evenly
That's a great point,
because
Tom.
you're aiming for like 8 to 22 minutes per side. So if you have a 26-minute side, like if say there's 14 songs and the first 7 make 26 minutes and the others are lighter, that doesn't work. So even that is like you're trying to balance the total time and you're trying to think of like if this is going to have a physical product, we have to come up with the A and the B, and they actually have to make sense
Right.
when they're divided because you don't want to cut a song in half.
Yeah, and you want the
You
narrative and the
can't.
sequencing to make sense when you split
Right.
it in two. And actually,
Yeah, so
to even
you
interrupt on
can't.
Holland, that's how we fixed this record. If y'all remember, we moved Deep Space over to side B, and that evened out the timing. I don't know if y'all remember that timing.
Right.
When Dove came, Dove actually came
Yeah,
up
I
with
think
that.
we might have
Yeah.
like reverse some. Yeah, you can go longer. It just affects the quality of it gets quieter. The more you put on it, it just gets quieter. So it doesn't make sense to try to squeeze too much on there.
That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's you can't just have dreams of fucking end of side A, and then just Monica without the cancer on the other side. That wouldn't make sense. So
Only the initiator would get it.
Yeah.
but yeah, there's this. I was gonna ask Controller 7. I think there's a really interesting thing here because, like, and I don't know if you agree with my point that I had in the breakdown that like working with Shrapnel is a really positive spotlight for a producer because, as Kay pointed out, they're both solo artists who clawed their way up, and they have great ears for beats, and they have great ears for collaborators. So it's all going to be the best beats, the best work, and it's going to be yours, and it's not going to sound like any other Shrapnel album. And we're just immediately buzzing about your contributions to this album and the beat switches in particular, right? Just the amazing beat switches that feels like scoring the film. But too
Thank
many
you.
beat switches can run an album off course, maybe like make you feel a little disjointed. Did you ever have that concern with something like, I don't know, Uru Metal comes to mind, where you're like 3 people, 3 different beats, like it could feel choppy if it isn't done proper.
Well, I mean,
Well,
ahead,
that one in particular, the whole point of that song was it was supposed to be like Gangstar's I'm the Man or Speak Your Clout. It's a 3-person posse cut. Like we set out to do that. So that one specifically was meant to be that way, that each person had their own little suite. The other ones, I either made the beats with the like different parts in them, or it just kind of, as I was working on it, when I got the vocals, things came to be that way. So I do agree that you could switch things up too much, and it's just kind of like you're like Joe Satriani or something. You're like doing some virtuoso kind of like noodling. But I think part of, like, if you listen to my instrumental stuff, it's kind of similar. Like I don't really like things to run that long. But I also don't think that I'm like smushing things that don't belong together. So there are a bunch of changes, but I think that they complement each other in the sense of like thing was one mood probably switched into another one, but that's part of like the narrative.
Yep.
So I think it wasn't so much like switching a beat to switch the beat. It was for a reason.
Yep. Yeah.
Like a lot of the works, the beat switches were very intentional and not a byproduct of any lyrics from me or Prem. So saying that like some of the songs where you see even the drastic beat switches, that's how the beat came. And then there were some songs, I think there were very light songs, Tommy, that he went in and really started doing more beat switches after the fact. I think the one song that does that, because people don't really notice, is there's like 3 beats on Deep Space Nine Millie.
Mm.
And there's a natural, the transition in between the two end beats, the beat I'm rapping on and the beat Prem's first starts rapping on. You kind of just get with it. You just go with the rhythm, but there's a whole nother beat underneath Prem's part before it gets to me. And so that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of intentionality when Tommy sent us that stuff. And there was a little more post work, but I think a lot of the beat switches were intentional in the sense that that's how they were presented to us originally. And then it also goes to the nature of the way me and Prem work. There'll be times I'll rap on something, he'll rap on something. We'll put the thing together. I don't know if we did this with Tommy. I don't know, Prem. Did we do that? We might have, sort of, kind of. We did take one beat and make it an intro to another song, but we'll have stuff like that, like on Metal Lung, on Metal Some Kids with Rob Sonic. We just to go back a little, we actually sent Rob Sonic his beat part first, and he had wrote his part, but we knew we wanted him on something like that. But then we was like, yo, we got this other beat from Dub. Yeah, we're gonna put those two together. So sometimes it comes from a certain intentionality on our part. And,
yeah, that was a 3-parter too, actually.
Yep.
Subtle one.
Subtle, exactly. Subtle.
Right.
And so things like that, we're very intentional with it. It's not too accidental. We know we're doing it. In fact, with this record in particular, there was a point in the development where Prem thought he was on the quiet parts out loud of the record. But we came fully around. I wanted to go back real quick. I'm sorry. Because I'm not sure if we answered your question, Kay. You had asked us how me and Prem had got to a working relationship, and I think we kind of just talked around it. Again, as everybody knows, we're beating the same drum. We had a big performance responsibility to one another. So we would back each other up on a lot of shows. And so that being the case, we would rehearse and then we would ask to collab. So it was like that natural thing, but it was done the other way. Sometimes you work on something with somebody and then you end up performing later, but we did it the other way. We would perform a lot. And then off those performances, we would have this downtime and we would start working on shit. And then we would also be at Dubs mutually. You know what I'm saying? So then that developed into a healthy working relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. The I mean, and in terms of the beat switches and like it's whenever it is a subtle shift like that, I don't know why, but I have like Infinity Knives in my head. Infinity Knives gives great interviews, and during interview he always just says, "Look, like I make compositions. They're gonna fucking move. They're gonna shift around. This is what it is, right? It's what I do." So I'm like, "Oh, the shit's moving because it's supposed to move. Like it's cool."
And that's where the spiritual nature of De La Soul is Dead is in this project. Things that Shabazz Palaces does is in this project, particularly Black Up, and mainly like their first 3 projects. When we were working on it, I never said it in the interview, but very much Shabazz Palaces. They have certain suites, they have certain movements and stuff. And the one thing that's great about the beat switches, in a sense, is the album becomes very immersive. I always noticed, because we had the album done for like a year, and I would listen to it and stuff. And when I would listen to it on replays all the time, I don't know if anybody has these experiences with the record, they could chime in and tell us. You would just burn through the album and blend through. And when you pick your head up, you're at Uru Metal and you heard Elucid. And that was like a constant thing. And even through all of the movements and also listening without looking, because we had the demo, so we're listening without looking, meaning like, we're not really sure when the song's ending, when it's not. And Seven did such a great job with transitions. You kind of don't pick your head up until like Uru Metal, and you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And you hadn't even noticed how beautifully everything has been connected. It's a very album built on a lot of connectivity. this I will say this is one of our most one of our highest sequence records in terms of like the album sequence and how we laid everything out. This the work that Seven did and the in between songs, the suggestions we had for the in between songs, the work that D Styles did. This song is very much built on the transition. I'm assuming this album is built on the transition, which we set out early. We made that important. Seven, I think we talked about that pretty early about transitions being pretty important in our work and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember saying something to you, and in general, I don't want people to like, I don't want the music to stop in any way where you think, maybe I'll put something else on. Like, so, and I think that at what you were describing, I think the album kind of does that. Like, before you know it, you have listened to like 35 minutes of it, and there's only like 3 songs left. And that's
Exactly.
kind of, it's not that it's like one song, but it's all like as something's ending, something's coming in, and just it like keeps grabbing your attention in a different way, and it never gives you a chance to say like think what you're thinking. You just keep going with it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. The other thing about the transitions and the sequencing, Prem, is that like there's like a community of voices on this album, right?
Oh, yeah,
All of
that's
a
Prince
sudden,
Seven.
AJ
It never settle, never settle, never settle. You know what I'm saying? That's what the album. It never settle. It never feel good. That's what seven sent me an email. I'm saying never settle. Why I do? That's it. He spelled it all out. So I was like, oh, I'm with him. I'm with him. I'm with
That's
him.
amazing. No, this like all of a sudden AJ Swade's talking about Erykah Badu, and then you're like, was that Billy Wood's voice? Like there's
Yeah,
all
he
these
was-
voices kind of happening
He
in
was
the album.
particular.
Yo, funny. We had to chase Woods down for him to
Nah,
do
he
it,
was
but
he was
he was good,
particularly-
dude. Yeah.
I knew. You know, you have to know when he's in the studio, and that's when you hit Dove with.
Yeah, I called Dub up and I was like,
or Green, or whoever he might be
but
recording.
we
with.
did call Prep. We called Dub. Yo, Dub, Woods over there. He's like, yeah, all right, Woods. Can you
I
do this
said,
for us real
I
quick?
need you to say "better you than me, brother," and he was just like,
He's
"Why?"
Like, he's like, well, yeah, he did
Well,
say
no,
why. He did
well,
say
no,
why.
no,
Wait,
no,
good.
but this is tit for tat because I did something on Church that most people
Yes.
haven't picked
The
up
people,
on.
a lot of people didn't pick up it.
But
Prem is on Church.
I was
I know
hanging
how it
out,
looks.
and he was just like, "Can you say, like, get it through your fucking head or something?" I was like,
Yeah, it was something like
"Sure."
that.
And he's like, "You're overthinking it." My first thing, he's like, "You're overthinking it." I'm like, "All right." So then I did it. Yeah. So I was like, "Yeah, it's a pretty easy thing to do." But yeah, I'm a big fan of. We're both big fans of Native Tongue, but also Def Jokes did it a lot,
Right.
which I always enjoyed. And it's just like, you know, cilantro, like on top of stuff. It makes for interesting things. Some people are like, you know, is that so and so? Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know. I know that Suede, obviously Suede has such a unique voice. I knew what Suede had done. I knew the night that Suede was going to do that because he was in New York, and they were all at Doves. And then, but I know that 89, Brainchild, Sharif, and who else? Drive By?
Cole High was there.
Okay, word. Yeah, I knew it.
Cole
All
High.
right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, but I didn't know what they had done until I heard it later. Like,
And then the
so
having, and also audible touch tones. Like we didn't just have Suede on it. We said, yo, do your watermark. You know what I'm saying? Like that one came in the studio. I was like, yo, just do your know what I mean? Like literally Suede is he the first verse? Oh no, you hear Prem's voice first.
yeah, because I say something.
Yeah, Prem starts it. Yeah, so we were trying to get that iconic, somebody else starts on our record. So it almost worked. But Prem starts, but then you do hear Suede, but people recognize that. And by the time you're processing, was that Suede? Prem's already 2 bars in.
Yeah.
Some killer. You know what I'm saying? And so you're like, all right. And you just keep kind of rolling and shit. And like, did I hear Zilla? Like Zilla's on Illusions of P.
Yeah.
People still don't really kind of catch it. He is literally on there and saying a dope quote we both picked up. And so like Zilla's on there, you know what I'm saying? And then there's like 3 or 4 places where Fatboy Sharif is. He's not just on one part, he's on like 3 or 4 parts. So
Yeah,
so
so
yeah.
so-
Go Tom.
some of them I I asked them, hey, can you guys try to get some people to just record things? And so I wrote like a bunch of stuff like because I knew where I would want to plug things in. So some of it was stuff that we like wanted them to double up something else, or maybe say in the place of one of them. And then some of the other stuff was completely random, but then the random things like totally like on Bogdan, there's stuff that was just completely random, but like kind of makes the song, I think. The like the what to go what to go what to go
Yeah,
what.
they literally did that in the studio. That's not, we didn't sample that from the Tribe Called Quest or anything like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they really did that. They
I
did.
didn't know
Oh,
that.
you thought that was like the Tribe Called Quest scenario or some shit?
I did not know that.
No, they really did
And
that.
I
And then Tommy fucked with it.
Oh
I
my
just
god!
I took out one of Castro repeated the white folks eyebrows, right? So I just
Yeah.
took one out and I replaced it with that. And then the other part too, like when I think it's Sharif saying, "Oh no," it might be
Yeah.
all of them,
All of them saying
but
it. Yeah, we had them
like,
all do it.
but
That's
it like
crazy.
just fit in there perfect. So there's a few things sprinkled around that
Wow.
were completely random that I just found a spot to stick it in.
Some
The-
overdubs for Breeze Bruins verse.
The record
was
that
done
keeps
by
on
them.
giving.
To the artist.
Yeah, but like, so back in the day though,
I
these
didn't know,
things
I
would be
didn't know.
really secret, and you would open up Midnight Marauders and you would try to figure out who all these heads. Remember before
Right.
they gave you the rubric. I think there's one where it has numbers and you could tell everybody in it. But I think that's like the vinyl. And if as at that age, most people had the CD or the tape. You didn't get the vinyl per se to see who everybody was. So I remember, and this is in the 90s, I'm a little older than some cats. We would sit there and be like, who can name the most people on the Midnight Marauders cover? That was a big thing in high school. Who can name the most people? And in that sense of community, the Native Tongues thing starts it, and then the Def Jux finishes it. And it turns like that's when me and Prem really got into it. But it started with you didn't know. Again, hip hop was such a mystery. You didn't realize, oh, they're all at Quad Studios, and there's 6 studios there, and all on different floors. I remember just being like, oh, word, Redman is there? How is Redman there? He's in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
How are they in
yeah.
Manhattan? Redman's in Jersey, Brick City. And used to build these boundaries and didn't realize they were just recording in the same spaces and poking their head in. And Snoop Dogg was at a DJ Quick recording. Oh, man, Snoop, can you just, and then also, I always like to point this out. Remember, the mystery of hip hop. Back then, there was always this thing about, is this kid real? And nobody didn't know the mechanics of the studio, so you didn't think, they have to sit in there, there's 4 mics, and they have a script. No, you think if somebody has a field recorder and Biggie just happens to fuck some girl in Studio B and they're recording.
Right.
Or there's or Wu-Tang's always recording, and then somebody busts into the studio session and tells you about Shamik's head. But I always remember thinking those things were like real. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
in the middle of the studio, Shamik's blood, you know what I'm saying? They had all bust. So
It was
just
hard to tell.
that,
It was hard to tell, like,
give that organic nature of this song isn't just metallic or robotic.
right.
It's our friends in here. We're having a good time. You know what I'm saying? And if you're keen, you might hear Billy Wood say a sentence or Zoe say a word.
I remember like sitting there with the Chronic booklet in my hand,
Oh, that was big. The credits were
being
crazy.
like, okay, so that was Lady of Rage and RBX flirting together. Okay.
There was,
okay.
and then
I like
remember
their
the game shows? Oh,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah.
That was some great shit. But yeah, but that, just think about it, being an audible sponge as we are as fans, and you're hearing all these different disparate voices and they all work. And then sometimes you're like, well, who is that guy? And then you kind of learn, like even the comedian, speaking of the Chronic, and rest in peace, Smiley, what's the he was hosting all of the game shows. He passed away. Ricky. It's not Ricky Smiley, not him.
No.
But anyway, if y'all remember that voice, he passed away. He used to do all of the voices on the Death Row Works.
Wait, he also did like the DJ
Yeah.
Easy Dick. Okay.
Yes, and he was
Yeah.
a comedian too. I just can't remember his name.
What happened to Prince Ital Joe? Is he still around?
I don't know. You have to look, because
Creepy voice.
But the fact that some cats used to live and exist as interlude cats, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
type of stuff.
I mean, the
We love that
DOC had to do that after the accident, right? He was doing that.
Yeah, he started being something else.
So
And
he
then
was-
we have the legend Eminem with Ken Kniff. That was the worst thing to me, was
Right.
Ken Kniff, because it really made my skin crawl. I was like, is he really like, who is Ken Kniff? I knew it was him, But I was like, listen to
Yeah.
what Ken Kniff is saying. Some horrible things, you know what I mean? But very different than Triumph, the insult
But-
dog. But anyways,
Yeah.
But it's funny because I think I ran into, I don't know, I must have, I don't know if I told this to you guys or I told this to Sway, but like there's only one person in the world who you could add to Shrapnel who wouldn't fuck up the dynamic, and it's Sway.
oh,
Like-
that's not a given. We come to find that out organically, but yes,
Yeah.
that is a given. And for all the listeners out there, 24-hour turnaround. Like embarrassingly so.
Sway gave me a verse for my next solo project.
In
From what
hours?
I said, when I sent him the beat, he gave me the verse back in 48 minutes.
And then he sends it to me.
It's
Hey,
fucking-
Castro,
it was-
do
I
something.
mean,
I'm like, what? Like
and
the
it's
thing.
and it's crazy.
and
you know?
it's locked in. The
It's
verse
like-
was locked in.
I gave
yo.
him the top. I gave him my verse, and it was a topical verse, and it's like the
And then he
spirit-
sends it to me. Yo, Cass, can you put your shit? What the fuck you mean? I
It's,
was like, yo,
uh,
Sway did his already?
the spiritual successor to Joel
Joe
Osteen.
Osteen. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so we got
That's-
a part
that's
two.
something
We got a
to
part
look
2 of that.
The,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
the 3 of us really work. But the
And,
thing is, and not to be stingy to any listeners that love it, but we're not gonna spoil everybody with it. Like we don't just always try to, get swayed on everything because those are magical moments and shit like that. Like he really, comes with it. We'll always support him. He'll always be right next to us. But we always gonna met out when you're gonna hear the 3 of us. We're not just gonna give it
Yep.
to it's like metal clergy. You know what I'm saying? You never know.
Exactly. So a question for Kay, because Kay, have you seen Shrapnel live 3 times? Am I right with that?
Twice.
Twice. Okay.
Thank
Maybe-
you,
Yeah.
Brother K.
Maybe I'll-
I think we saw him in Boston
Yeah.
last year, and then this in Portland was the second time.
Wait, no. You
We
saw
saw him twice
you
in
saw
Portland.
Twice in Portland. So yeah,
No,
you're
twice
3.
in Portland.
Mhm.
Wow.
The freestyle
yeah.
show. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Dude,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
forgetting Shrapnel shows now. Look at you. But no, you've watched them several times live.
Yeah.
How has that affected the experience of listening to Shrapnel? Do you understand them better? Like how have they changed for you over the course of that?
I think it's the chemistry. So when I was asking that question, because you see it particularly with and Dan and I talked about this in the car ride home in terms of like how duos or rap duos perform together on stage. And so I think from what I saw a lot of growth in the I guess you could say like the stage presence of the band and the group. And I think that kind of translated to the album.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it wasn't necessarily like a lot of how do I say this? Like I feel like a lot of rap groups, it's almost like a handoff. Like it's almost like a hot potato type of situation where it's okay, I got the hot potato, now I'm gonna pass it to you. And there's not really like a connection between the 2 artists. But I felt with this album there was a sense of connection with you 2 that I also saw in the live performance as well.
Right.
Cool.
Right, and I
appreciate
think-
that.
I think that's evidence,
appreciate that.
Kay, by the fact like I was listening to this Nobody Planning to Leave a lot and then listening to the self-titled debut. And they sound like 2 totally different, like they sound like they're part of 2 different subgenres. Like
Mm.
it's really interesting to me because the writing's changed a lot, like the way the bounce off has changed a lot. I mean, and the self-titled debut is a big thing in my heart, right? We did a best first songs ever thing, and Ghostface Targaryen was in that conversation. So I hold it in high regard. It's just that, man, it's so different now, and it feels like things have changed and shifted. I think firstly, Prem has talked about this before, but I think because Kurt Castro is the most successful, complicated rapper in our world, it gives you permission to go as intricate as you want to be, and you've been able to, scheme out and do things that are fantastic, and that's changed the way things were going as well. But this just feels totally different, and it's from what Kay said, like human relationship building as artistic relationship builds at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Interesting you say that about the first record, yeah, because we did the record very much in close quarters together, the first album. But it probably was still a separate process in its own way. Whereas now, yeah, and even the live performance, like I know when to hype them up and when to accent him. You know, there's a difference. There's a time when the hype up is like necessary, and a time where the accent just adds a little something to the texture of you, what you're hearing out there, and none of our two sets are really exactly the same. There's like touch points where we got to hit them, like where he's got to hype me and I got to hype him, and we got to nail it, stick the landing. And the stakes are a little higher now because people are coming knowing the words, which wasn't always the case for us. So, you know what I mean? Can't be looking like a sucker out there. But yeah, I think that yeah, getting Castro in terms of like references, schemes, what's on the table, like absolutely everything in the entire fucking universe is on the table. Like, and that's right. Now, how do I make that sound interesting? How does he make that sound interesting? How do we pair the two? And that's what our job is, you know. And but the freedom is step one. If you don't have freedom within your own, you know, group, or you feel like, well, maybe that's a solo thing, which will happen only because it'll be like, well, that's something I want to say in my own way, on my own. I'll save that for solo. But when it's between us, it won't. Neither of us are editing ourselves in any way to fit what's going on, and that's probably what we're finally. Not that we haven't achieved it before, but I think we're just refining it.
Yeah,
you know. So appreciate it.
I mean, that process is kind of a psychological process because I think most artists will have a fear of what if my audience doesn't understand a bunch of this, are they going to walk away?
Well,
right?
like for instance, so Prem talks about, you know, learning each other live or whatever. I had to learn to pull back. So like there was times I would hype too much. I say too much and I'm backing up too much. And in my mind, I'm thinking I'm strengthening the thing, but I'm throwing Prem off. So things like that. You know, like learning that over all of this time. Cause I can't, it's hard to like pontificate it because I just feel like, oh, shouldn't we get better? Is it like the point of, you know what I'm saying? I'm not being arrogant or anything, but like I'm really just laying it out there. Like, you know, if you're really at this thing and you take it as serious as we do, like, you know, people quote us like we're not here to have a good time. We're not. And it should get better, you know what I'm saying? But to K's point, specifically, yeah, some groups, they especially live, like you might not know it in the studio, they might have great engineering and doing a whole bunch of backflips and technical things, but live, some people do just pass it off, and the other MC, and sometimes the other MC just fades off. Sometimes they'll give the one MC center stage, almost even maybe sometimes center stage light, and the other MC is not even lit. You know what I mean? In terms of like duos or groups. Me and Prem try to make it where you're having some type of experience, not just of the show, but there's a reason there's two of us up there. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why you're getting the combination of our powers. We're not just doing each other a favor, you know. And so we try to show that in the shows, and we've come to find out that that's important. You know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
And then also, like when it comes to us, there's a lot of there's health concerns as we do shows. Just to be a little transparent here. So there's certain things that Prem knows to do to help me out up there. It's not pretty obvious. We mask it pretty well, but sometimes shows are pretty rough. They sometimes don't have an hard time. There's certain length, you know what I mean, standing up. I got a new hip, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes it could be something like that. Don't think I'm not putting it's not the big C. It's not like the cancer is attacking me on stage. But sometimes my hip is like, yo, so like I don't know if people notice, I'm very much with the mic stand. That's part of my set now. And if you notice, I kind of lean on it. So like, and just the transfer, instead of being up there, I'm not Red Fox, so I can't sit on a stool the whole show. Right. So just to give myself a little break, I said, you know what? You know, Prem doesn't use his. I'm gonna use a mic stand, and I'm gonna be James Brown with it. I might drop it and bring it back and shit. But in the meanwhile, I might lean on it. So there's a lot of that too. And I think to me, and not, again, I'm just being transparent here, that helped enhance our performance instead of just me, trying to figure out how to burst through and do this show and then go run off and throw up and shit. Prem is helping me out in real time because that's my partner and my brother. And we're able to get through shows better. We're able to rearrange certain things. There's been a lot of times where I won't know it, but a freestyle session is like saving the show because it's giving me and him a chance to breathe somewhat, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not be so locked in with new songs. A lot of times, one instance I'll tell people, we were being overzealous. So it wasn't just my health concerns. It was just overzealousness. And it was a release show last year or something like that. And we did 2 openers back to back.
What we did was
We didn't want to take
Killer Priest off Little Robert Hutton, which I'm mellow, but you come in crazy.
I do come in crazy. And I come in high stepping. Like I high step into the verse, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, we didn't realize how much that was. So he did that back with Rebel Swordplay, which is a challenging feat in its own. Yeah.
And if anybody know, I was over on the side throwing up while playing this.
So I had to do 2 solos in a row.
Because I was in the back chucking up water.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even, so like, but again, that was just, and it was my first show after being out for like 10 months or something like that. Yeah.
Very first show back. Yeah. It was,
so
we were always going to be kind of seeing what we could do and what we couldn't do.
That was bad. So anyway, point being, as we know each other, we know our limitations and what we can do and we can push it. We have produced better shows because we're able to harness our energy and plan our shows. Our shows are, I'm being serious. So like, Dan, comparing it to the first album is really good because we did songs on the first album that, but now we're in such good flow with his solo material, mine. We can mix it together and we can have a really good, efficient set. As opposed to back in the day, sometimes we would just blade throw. Like, yeah, that's our first album was like the girl on the spinning wheel, and we was just tossing blades at her and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now we have to make choices, difficult ones. Songs we really like, we can't do them, and it's like a.
But you also have you have your world and your trademarks and the things that you do.
Yeah.
One of the things that you guys do to me is you always give me a guest feature that jars me out of the picture. Like that, and
we do work really hard on these guest features. So I appreciate that, Dan. We don't just do the typical.
Plenty of them have been nixed. I've been like, what about Kester's like, no. Kester will be like, what about? I'm like, no. And it's nothing personal. It's just like we'll be each other's foil to know. Yeah. It's a thoughtful process. It's a process that's like we're not against repeating, obviously. That's not really what it is. It's more about like it's just like meticulous, it's the voices matter, we
do have some repeats, but if you look at each one of the Shrapnel records, they do have a certain guest identity on them, each one. And I think what's important by not repeating, quote unquote, as Prem said, is it gives each record those guests that shine. So it's not like we're just rolling out the same card. Everybody in the world knows it. The Woods is our people. We can have them on every record.
Sure.
But we don't want to just keep playing that Spade card. He's high. He's top Spade. He's big Joker. So you don't want to always keep playing. And then also just sonically, we try to make each album a unique experience. The album covers are all different. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to always give y'all something different. We giving y'all the blades, but this blade has this type of sheen. It's made of this metal. And so we try to make each album have different guest experiences. So when you go to each album, each guest is still being lifted up. You know what I'm saying? As you will.
I'll give you my one jarring guest verse per album pick, right?
Yeah, boom.
The first album, it's Googie.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Googie fan. I've always been a Googie fan.
Yeah, he was crazy on that song, but Henry though.
Wow.
Henry went crazy, man.
I love Henry.
Mine is Castle on the first record.
Oh, Castle. What a legend.
Because the point is Castle dictated that whole song. We didn't even know what the song was about when we sent it to Castle.
Yeah,
he gave us the feature back so quick. And Prem, remember, he rearranged the beat too. So he literally gave us the whole onus for that song by featuring him.
Yeah,
Right.
shout out to Castle.
Big ups to
And then obviously on the second one, it's probably a combination of Rob Sonic and Ethel C, right? Just like
Yeah.
having that situation, like that's just
Pull
you
your
know,
tanks up. We go pull our bank. Pull your banks up. We go pull our tanks up.
Tanks
I
up.
love
Crazy.
that- I love that verse.
Crazy.
but then I also have the sleeper pick of the unlisted features on the second record,
Yeah.
which got us a lot of
Sure,
love.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
This one, my pick is Henri Osborne, who I just dug into after this. I went to the 2019 album. It was like, this guy's so unique, man. Like I always liked Gray Skull.
Okay.
But, man,
yeah,
this is-
I was literally just talking about Gray Skull with Suede today.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was big into Gray Skull. Henri's he's a lifer, man, and
Yeah.
like truly been through a lot of different eras of rap, and kind of if you trace like the like that, I don't know, it's like an unsung hero, right? And it's
Yeah, a little
like,
last
so-
man standing. Because he's stuck around
And
after each of his incarnations. Yep.
Yeah, and been done work with lots of great indies and all that. So it's cool. It's cool to also draw that line between him and Lungs, right? Where it's
Yeah,
like,
I would highlight the Lungs feature just because young Scrappy, you know what I'm saying?
he's a mad scientist. That dude.
Absolutely.
This kid that's a dynamo right there, and both of them, him and Feek. But like
Their
to
new
see it in
record
real
is-
time, to see him
Yep.
producing into the middle of the night, looking up was he looking up Kojo? He hooked up his sampler to old Kojak movies, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
in the middle of the
he
night,
was making beats like while
making
everyone was
beats
like
all the whole
doing
run.
other shit. He
And to see them again, we have to keep echoing. There's nothing gimmicky about it. It's not Mom Spaghetti.
No,
To see them
yeah.
do it in real life, in real time, and that's how they do it.
yeah.
Salute to them. Big
And
That's
up
the
boys.
biggest misconception about Lungs and Feek is that they are like reckless wild boys or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
they are mad scientists. Like that's what they're like.
Yeah.
That's
They're all
And
about
what-
that new record is
Yeah,
is
something
crazy.
else. Yeah, I can't wait for y'all to hear it.
Carrot
You gotta
Season.
hear
It's
that.
not out yet, but they played it for us.
Yep, I gotta hear that.
Yeah.
The no, it's this album is is awesome, and I'm glad everyone's tapping into Controller 7 and what you were doing. I want to maybe get thoughts from everybody, but Controller 7, was there a song that genuinely surprised you when you got everything back and positioned and like, holy shit, we did that? Like that was more than I anticipated.
I mean, a surprise. I think Sarate was a surprise because, and it didn't come together like in one thing. Like Castro, I think I had an idea in my mind of like what it might be, and then what he sent back, and I think it was like mostly just like the chorus at first, not so much the full story, but he kind of had this idea. But where it ended up is pretty amazing to me, and I love that song. Human Form, I also feel the same. Like I feel like it started as one thing and then it turned into something completely different. Not so much that the vocals are pretty much are close to what he sent, but then I did a lot of stuff to sort of emphasize him. I think Uru Metal was like a surprise, just getting back the elusive verse, and when he does the at the end.
Yeah, that was ladies and gentlemen, that was all gutter. Like he said that with the effect on it, everything. We did a little extra to it in the mix.
Amazing.
Like, he sent that back like that. We didn't tell him to do that.
Crazy.
Who knows where he's doing what in his floating fortress above civilization? Who knows where he's doing what? But
Right.
he beamed it back down to us. He's like, yo, here, yo. And I throw in my hands, and that's our brother. Just because,
Right.
why would you do that? Just why? I don't know. I'm an MC too. I just wouldn't think to go. And it ties, if anybody can really do the mysticism to it, it ties into the line because it's about somebody choking or whatever like that. You know, who gonna know any what? All right, well, there we go. All right, thank you, Gutter.
That's
So we
awesome.
scurried back to the lab. You know what I'm saying?
An inspired feature for sure.
Absolutely.
you-
Absolutely.
The lungs feature was a surprise, and we've sort of told the story, but Castro sent him something, and then he was supposed to be on one part, and then he kind of picked like a little section and like looped it up himself of like a little outro piece. Um, and so he looped up like a bar or two or something that wasn't meant for him to rap on. And then he sent back the whole verse on that. So I went back and I took that little piece and then built up the whole thing around him. So that one was definitely a surprise because none of us knew that was going to happen. But I think I mean, in all honesty, I was probably surprised by every song in some way. Like
That
there was
makes sense.
there was a big gap between me sending stuff and then there was kind of like a few months went by and then Castro sent me like 6 songs. Like the first thing he sent me, there was like 6 songs. And I was like, whoa, okay, so this is happening. And then he might, I think, like, I don't know if you told me that Breeze Bruin was going to be on it or you just sent it to me.
No,
So
I
I
tried
mean,
to surprise you with the Breeze and the Mike Eagle. I didn't tell him about Open Mike Eagle either
yeah,
for the
so I
record or
mean,
Breeze.
lots of surprises. Probably every song was a surprise in some way. And good surprises. And I've done a lot of songs and sometimes you get stuff back and you're just like, maybe it's not that you don't like it, it just may take you a while to like get used to it because you're like, I've heard the beat so many times. With this, I think I generally was like pretty on board with like things seem to like fit what I was hoping for. Or maybe I just didn't know where things were gonna go, and that was kind of the joy of working on it, was like anything was possible. But yeah, I remember being pleasantly surprised by all of them.
Yeah, it's much easier to like not know your exact course when you trust everybody in the boat. And you're like, all right, everybody's smart though, so this is good.
I think we definitely got to a point where there was a lot of trust in the, like, even if we weren't on the same page, we figured out how to get to the same page. And um like on Sadate, like me and Castro kind of went back and forth. I'm not gonna say what it is, but he really wanted a particular like sound in there.
Oh yeah,
And
I
so
remember that. Yeah.
um and
That was
so we
definitely you
like
two. I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, he did. Prem was out of that.
so we went back and forth, but I mean, I feel like we got to a place where like it met that need and it like ends up working like the way it should. And so I think we did have like a really good uh there was a lot of communication. I mean, it was like just DM messages most of the time, but like if they wanted something done, I would do it. And I was always doing everything in the sense of I want them to be happy. So I'm not like over here doing tricks to just do tricks. It's like if it doesn't like serve the purpose, just tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them like Dada is
Yeah.
that's a longer song, and like longer songs are hard for my attention span, and so it was actually I think it totally works the way it was, but like
Yeah. Seven
it
did a
was
couple
hard
of tricks
it
to
was
keep
hard for
himself amused.
yeah, I
That's what he
needed
did.
to entertain myself. Like, their verses perfectly fine. I just had this obligation to myself to like, they excelled on their parts. I wanted my part to be interesting as well. So just the length of time meant I had to come up with a bunch of stuff.
But no, Dadaism definitely is Seven amusing himself. If y'all look at that, when y'all listen to the
Right.
arrangement, that was him trying to keep himself interested.
It's this,
3 long
yeah.
verses, very verbose song. So,
Yeah.
so if we can keep
Crazy
Seven's attention, we're headed in the right direction. Consider he produced the damn thing.
Yup.
No, it's it. So Kay, laying out a roadmap to this album, how do you process this album? Are there runs on it that you're into?
You know, like I think some movie like, oh well, okay, how to explain, like some albums are like movie scores,
Yep.
but I saw this more as like if you ever been to like a 5 or 6 course dinner,
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I didn't think necessarily like that the tracks were, I'm sure there was a relationship between the tracks, but it was more about like the pacing of the album, and you know, like what course was presented to the listener, you know, after, you know, the course I was already eating. So just the way that I saw it, I thought it was really interesting,
yeah.
because it didn't feel like what's the word I want to use? It didn't feel like, you know, like a movie is, what's the word I know one of you know the word, like events happen in order or something like that.
Like chronological.
Chronological, yeah. It
Mhm.
didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that. It felt like something kind of different.
Okay, Pulp Fiction style, kind of putting together the story. But yeah, and I see your point with the meals, because you get a heavy meal and then you get like a sorbet to clear
Right,
it.
you get and you know, cooks, when they're doing that, they're thinking about that. They're like, okay, this course is going to be like this, and then the next course is going to be like this, and people's going to, you know, their taste buds are going to be fucked up because the course before that was like
Exactly.
this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate
So the
that,
sorbet
yeah.
would
Yeah.
be sarate. I think that's
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
You know,
we
that's kind of how it felt.
we
Yeah.
lined that up to give it, like, you know, I mean, that was put, so the sequencing was done by Seven, wholly, except for 2 parts. So
Mhm.
we said, Seven, you can arrange the whole album except Metallo's gonna be first and Word Dog gotta be last, and
Yep.
anything else is up to you. And so he was arranging it in a sense to, you know, sometimes give a breather, like, because sometimes when you're doing that and then you got 2 bookends, so you're at track 10, you're like, well, what tracks all you have left? You're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, we still got Illusions of P, we still got, you know, Sarate. So let me put that there after what that comes after Uber Metal, right? So like after such a big bombastic thing in Uber Metal with all the movements and shit. Then now, you know what I'm saying, you go to work around the corner to a piano lounge, and I'm there with my untied bow tie, telling y'all a tale of this loft party I went to.
Yeah, yeah. Fateful love party.
Painful, very painful. So pretty much, for anybody listening that cares, so it's pretty much a story about, I was at this loft party, and I was partaking in too many items of different culture, if you will. So I had too many things in my system, and I kept chucking up everything. But I thought I was being discreet because I just kept walking to the bathroom and closing it. But mind you, if y'all remember, lofts don't have like ceilings and stuff like that. So I'm thinking nobody can tell because there's music playing or what I'm doing. But after like the 6th bathroom visit, and the last, I was chucking up. I was, you know, not to be graphic, but I was like, oh, but I got it out and I shook it off. And when I came back and opened the door, you would think it was like a movie, because the whole party, it was a big loft. The whole party was standing at the bathroom door, like, are you alive? When I open it, I'm opening it thinking nobody knows what is going on with me the whole party. I'm trying to play it cool. I tried at the beginning, as I say, Jeff Gregg, I'm Swayze because that's my bride. And I'm telling him, yo, I'm sick as shit. Can we roll? He's like, yeah, we can leave now. On my 3rd bathroom visit, I remember it clearly like that. I come out, his shirt is off. He's getting massages in the corner. So we're not leaving. And so, like, I'm just trying to manage and not be like, you know, the sus at the party, and try to maintain or whatever. And eventually, that's how I end the verse. When I come out, the whole party's looking at me like, are you okay? You're not dying in there, whatever. And I'm thinking I'm being slick, and nobody notices. So yeah, but I don't know how I came up with the hook. I'm being dead ass. I think I was just sitting around one day. It's not like I had just watched Pootie Tang or something, but something in me said, I want to sing Pootie Tang. So I looked up Pootie Tang on Wikipedia to try to get some stuff. I don't know, and this is true. I can't remember. I can look at my notes. I don't think it's a literary translation. So if you go and translate what I'm saying in the Pootie Tang language, I don't think it says anything like specific, like a sentence. But I was thinking phonetically, I just wanted to put certain phrases together. So if you can go look, there are phrases like the 2 or 3 words put together. They are separate phrases, but I just rearranged them And then it was just a nod to Saturday by De La Soul as well. And so
I love
yeah.
this Pootie Tang language. Like there's Klingon. Like there's
It definitely is, and it is. You
that
can look it up on
Yeah.
on sources that I don't know if they're if you can claim them authority, but
Right.
well everybody got a different God in the sky.
There's a Reddit for everything, you know.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
So.
so yeah. That's and I'm so glad that Sadate is on the album.
It did not almost make it. It's just the funny thing to me about Sadate is it clearly was not intended for just me to be on it. It turned into that. But the funny thing to me about it is when I did the demo, I left mad space and I totally sent it back to Tommy and Prem, like, okay, your turn. And Prem just took a week with it and said, yo, what is going on here? He literally just told me, like, I don't know what's happening here. And Dove too. Like they didn't get I sent them the hook and the verse. That's how the song started. I did the hook in the beginning and I did the verse because I thought Prem would have a verse. Maybe we do another hook or whatever like that. And the fact that he wasn't picking up, this before I explain the story and all that stuff.
Yep.
And nobody was really getting what I was laying down. And then Seven took the beat back and did some extra things, put those banging ass drums at the outro. And it became like we say, even though it's a solo, it's still a shrapnel song. So it's still a shrapnel song, no matter how you slice it. But the funny part is, and I'll cut the story, is I recorded everything you hear up until the last hook was recorded with the intent for Prem to go right after me, and then Tommy to do something, and then you know what I'm saying. But it turned into something else, and just happy accidents and shit. Yeah.
And so for Prem and Castro, like, are there moments versus from each other that you were like, holy shit, what is that? And how do I follow it? What is going on?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Live Element was like, I don't know, what do you do for an encore after that, right? That's one of them for me. 8-Finger Piano was something I was trying to like really hone in on, and like it was a tough catch because of the way the beat kind of moves.
His mind was playing tricks on him because he caught it. Because he did catch it twice before the final one you hear. He caught it twice, but he couldn't sit with it. He's like, no, I'm not getting it. And I'm like, you got it. He's like, nah, I ain't it. And so he did something else. And then the version you hear. But his mind was playing tricks on him because I was in the studio that day.
Yeah. So that was part of it. That was but Live Element was tough. So I figured let me just go in a totally different direction, right? That's what you when you're up against like the best person running one route, the only thing to do is run the other route.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna run that route any better. So let me run a different route. And that's and that pivot helps make for a memorable song. So, that was two things I could think of right now.
For me, it's Worry Doll, because the version y'all hear is not the original version of the song. Like Prem laid it a certain way. I'm not revealing it, but he had laid his verse a certain way, and it's almost exactly what you hear. So all the lyrics have stayed the same, but he went back and totally like reverse engineered the flow. So I know it sounds really natural and it's right in the pocket and shit, but he had a whole nother flow, whole another way he spit that whole entire verse, and it was his decision. I didn't say anything. That's the thing. I didn't say anything, and that's funny because this is the second time. I'm gonna tell you about the other time, but I didn't say anything to spur that change, but Prem put it on himself like, no, this is the last song, I'm gonna do something more dynamic. And that's what he said. And then he went, and then I think he did it in the same day, but just like later on, like an hour or two later, he just flipped how he was doing it. It was like one of those, he couldn't leave the court without hitting the shot. You gotta make a shot before you step. And that was it. And it didn't sit right with him. I was fine with it. Dub was fine with it. Tommy hadn't heard it yet, and was just sitting with it. But we was about to leave. It was like one of those like last half hour of the studio. We pretty much did everything we said we were gonna do that day. He's like, nah, I gotta do that one different. And I was like, what? What do you? I didn't know. I thought he meant like he had other verses or something to it. And he said, no, I'm just gonna do it different, yo. Just trust me. And I was like, all right, good. And then he did the beginning of it the same, like the first 4 bars or such, pretty much identical. I did, and then there's a switch, and anybody listens to it, you can hear it. And then he starts doing this whole Rachmaninoff dance with the fucking keys and blades.
Yeah,
And shit. I don't
yeah,
know what the fuck he's doing, and he's embarrassing me. So that's pretty much what it is. He's embarrassing me because at first it seemed like I was hanging in there. I'm all smooth with it, saw the car, Unsully, Dune, and
Mhm.
Game of Thrones. I'm chilling on that joint.
Nah,
Like
man.
and I got the lazy part of the beat. The beat don't even kick in for my last two bars. That's where my
the,
face
the,
probably
the-
comes in.
that's like one of them old horror movies, right? Where like you
Mhm.
see the, it's like one of my favorite tactics of old horror is like the killer is you're way too far away to do
Good
anything about
distance.
it,
Yep.
but you see the killer, and the person is unbeknownst to them, they're going about their whatever they're doing.
Right.
The killer's sneaking up. That's Castro's verse is a sneak up. I'm the killer though on this one.
Yeah.
So I had to come with like you need to like we take our closer serious. So I'm like, I need people to be like, damn, like okay, that just I just experienced that song and that record, and now I need to know what to do with that. Maybe I'll run it back. That's kind of what we want you to do. But yeah, and like the flow is fine. There'd probably be not too much of a butterfly effect if I kept the original.
Yeah,
But it
8
was
times out of 10 he would have kept the original.
but it was like this record deserved like a I needed to reinterpret it. I needed to challenge myself, and then
And that's where we and again to what Kay asked earlier, that's where we've grown at. Like our egos are not going to get in the way of making a better product, even in spite of ourselves. And so that's why you'll hear a song where I pull back, I'm not on it, or I'm on it, or I'm this, because it doesn't matter. It's all about the service of the song, and Prem's the same way. Well, so we've had solo songs back. We have all type of version of songs. I'm not trying to say we're limited in that way, but we also have learned from our peers and from ourselves that there's time to pull back, there's time to give more, there's time to let one person have a little bit more of the pie than the other.
I have a question. When you guys are writing, do you ever because you guys have been performing for a long time now. When you're writing, do you ever write with consideration for what you think the other is going to write?
It's not like that specifically, because sometimes like we have a process. So a lot of times we'll have half songs in the sense that either Prem did his part or I did my part, especially on songs that just split right in the middle. So you can kind of, I might be considering what Prem is going to come with, but it's more of trusting each other, whoever takes lead. So it's not like, I'll curb this because maybe Prem might mention it or whatever. I'm gonna do my style, and I'm in my shrapnel chamber, and then I know Prem can balance and match and mirror, and vice versa and shit like that. And so it's more of that we just ultimately trust in each other's abilities, and then we follow whoever takes lead. And that could be a hook, that could be a concept. Like Prem could lead with the concept, but I could write the verse first. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's definitely trust. And I'm only saying that, Kay, because I can't limit myself when I'm trying to forge a blade to think something Prem might do, because you know what I'm saying, I can't predict it to that extent. Right. So I'm just gonna hone my blade and know that my man's gonna come with the twin blade. You know what I'm saying? But we do match really well, especially on conceptual joints. I know we'll stay in the lines, but we still might talk about shit. See, the key with shrapnel is we'll see a beat, and me and him never rhyme on a beat the same way. It don't matter. We can get the beat at the same time. We can play it in the same car. We can even hold hands and snap with our offhand with the count is. But me and him are not gonna approach it the same way, and so that's the beauty in our differences. So with that being said, you just go for yours in your way. You know what I'm saying? Like our solo songs are totally independent of each other. We don't even write the same type of shit. We do solo joints. To answer your question, it's trust and follow the leader section.
Yeah, makes sense. It's and I know smart, like the top tier of like really smart artists that I've interacted with, they do what they do very well. They're proud of what they do, but they're also really hungry and studying what other people do. And you can see that with Andrew and Jesse, right? Like as they grow together as Sleeping Dogs, they're studying each other. Oh, you do this really well. Okay, I'm gonna see how what would my version of that look like, right? And grow together. And so you guys have definitely grown together. off your skills, but you've also been able to integrate producers for a full project and kind of learn from what they do. So what did you learn from working with Dove versus working with Seven? Like what do those lessons come in? How do you see it now?
Dove, we were more like we're at Dove's a lot. I mean, Dove now I'm a 20-minute walk from Dove's apartment, so I'm there quite a bit. Castro, when he comes in the city, is hanging out at Dove's for hanging, recording, whatever. So we're there. It's pretty easy to implement what we want to see happen. Hey, can you try this? Can you try that? If you can get them to focus on one song, it's another challenge. Love you, Dove. Then with Tommy, it was way more of like he's gonna come back with fully fleshed out post ideas. If we don't like it, obviously he's amenable to changing it. But that pretty much never happened. But Castro will have a lot of notes, more so than I will. But there'll be things that I want to see happen, and Tommy will integrate it, and it's more digital and more over the email, communication, and with Elucid, it was way more like we have no idea what he's up to, and then we'll just get a bulk of things at one time, and it's like, so learning from that is once you've singled out and once you've decided who you want to work with, like, trust them, make sure you're in a situation where you trust them artistically, and you can either be next to them or across the country, or and maybe in other cases across the globe. We don't know what the future holds. So it's like if you get to that level of trust, then it's all good. And but that's super important. We're not micromanagers. We're not gonna pester you for things that need to be done a certain way, and we don't ever want that to be done to us. So that's like for freedom and doing your own thing and working within the context of the record is what I've learned.
But to piggyback on what Prem's saying, our process runs the writing room, if you will. Like, the songs are gonna go in the direction of how me and Prem's process work. But our process is also very much open to collaboration. Like, for instance, if Seven sends us the beat, and the beat is named Deep Space Nine Millie, we just added a pull a pistol part, right? I think we added a pull a pistol, but he sent it damn near right, Tom.
It was all in there.
It was named the whole thing. Okay, so
it was the two songs.
Thing, the two songs put together, in terms of title wise. And like I said, since we're open to collaboration, we just roll with that, and that became the whole impetus of the song. That's how we wrote. That's how we broke down the verse responsibilities. That's how we picked the flows, based solely on Tommy's title of the beat, because the beat doesn't necessarily speak to either one if you're not thinking about them right then and there. And that's the Millie Pull a Pistol on Santa and Deep Space 9mm. But him phrasing it like that made us go, yeah, Prem's gonna do one flow, I'll do another flow, and things of that nature. Sometimes, I mean, cliche is people say the beat talks to you, and it does in a sense, but sometimes, like, I surprise him with Saturday. I think Nutcracker Blues was pretty much incepted from Seven. So, like, the way he sent us the beat, I knew I was gonna get Breeze. So, you know what I'm saying, Prem? Like, the song just kind of turned into what the beat was telling us. That one was kind of straightforward. I think that, even though it's a very beautiful song, that was straightforward. The way Tommy sent the instrumental was gonna lead us to that outcome. It was like kind of already written in the sky type shit. Even Breeze, and I don't even understand working with Breeze. It's incredible. But Breeze, who was a god amongst the shit, like, literally his mom slept with Zeus. Not no disrespect to his father, but his mom slept with Zeus. He asked you, is this verse all right? Breeze Brewing.
Breeze
will ask you, because he's featured on your joint. Is this, am I, because I told Prem halfway through he had asked, am I going in the right direction? And again, I think we all were writing at different paces and stuff like that. So I don't even know if I had my verse when he asked me that question. Prem might have had his verse. But again, the stars were aligned, and I was like, yeah, of course. And it wasn't so much just like, oh God, Breeze, do whatever you want. It was like, yo, you on it, you on track too. But you right on track on the railroad tracks, you lined up. but he would ask you that stuff. And you know, big ups to him, good friend of mine, and always honored to work with him. But to ask us, no, motherfucker, you the man. The song is you, motherfucker.
Right.
Like shit, like you know what I'm saying, but not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
stuff like that, and so we're very open to collabs. Our egos are not in front of us, so we're not like, nah, man, this song is about French toast sticks or whatever. No, nobody's doing any of that. You can smoke on our tour bus sometimes, but not blunts. Prem gets bothered by it. So it's all to the good. But again, like I said, if Tommy's incepting an idea, the song might play out that way. If he's sending us a title, the song might play out that way. And so we're never averse to doing it that way.
And you can hear the freedom in that. You can hear like the way Mike is rapping, Open Mike Eagles rapping on Dadaism 3 is just totally different than what he's usually doing. His tone, like he's just doing different things. The way Breeze rapped on that was so like everybody chooses their own direction and
The
feels
way Mike Eagles, look, I just saw the God George Wallace the other night doing a routine. Incredible. That to me, I don't know if he knew or anybody knows, but that's how Mike was rapping on Dadaism 3. Like watch a George Wallace comedy routine.
that's
And
great.
that is how, because it is a certain point he gets through his like big longer jokes and he's just like riffing and like everything is meaning he's dropping little gems and you're just thinking he's talking, but he just did a joke and then you laugh. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how Mike Eagles' verse was. Just, oh my God, entendre on top of entendre, line after line, but a barrage of incredible lines.
Yeah,
So I'm not one to be even modest. He wiped me on that joint. So
to get like these amazing MCs to guest, but then to like just play and try new stuff. It that shows a level of respect they have for y'all, right? They wouldn't do that for anybody. So,
We hope so. We hope so.
yeah, they don't. Yeah, our peoples don't just treat it like
right.
paid vacations or anything like that. Usually, a lot of people put their best foot forward when they work with us on stuff. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Kay, do you have anything? You have anything else?
No.
Rolling. I'm ready. Recommendation corner. I'm excited to have this many high level musical peeps here for recommendation corner. Gonna get some good stuff. I'm gonna go. One of my favorite people that I discovered in 2024 is this dude from Florida named Shottie, Shottie. Did an album earlier in the year with Pharma Beats that I loved. And he just released another called Alligator Alley with Machacha.
Cool.
So, and he's from Miami. The previous one was from January. It's called Nothing Changed Except Everything. That's with Pharma Beats. It's almost like what I think what I was trying to narrow down. The thing I love about Shottie is it gives you the early Paranoia, Jay. Like hustling life, but I can't trust anyone. Like it's that vibe. So, and he carries it through in a Florida way where there's scammers everywhere and alligators robbing convenience stores and shit like that. Florida shit. So and it's quick, 10 songs, just having fun, rap his ass off, some Spanish in there, Money Mowgli, of course, the Nori of this underground Miami scene. So I just love that album and looking forward to more of his stuff as he comes back from that hiatus he did. There's another one in Sankofa's crew named Piro, who did an album with Tally Rodriguez called Natural Selection. And it's that Knuckle Draggers crew that they have. And it's a really fun album that I enjoyed a lot. G-Fan Black, just all the people are on there, just rapping their face off, having a good time. Yeah, I think those are the other one I would say, and I have permission to say, Jesse the Tree's Pigeon Man, one of my favorite projects that he's done. High energy, dope. Love the Mopes production and how it pushed him. Mopes and Jesse are working right now on the sequel. So
Fuck yeah,
uh,
nice.
I was able to hear a song, put it on the car for my son, so he loves Jesse. Yeah, it sounded great. So I'm really excited for that. Mopes is a real smash mouth production. Like he doesn't play. So I love what it brings out of Jesse. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Cool.
Prem, what have you been listening to?
Previous Industries a lot. I think that record's really, really good. Check that out if you haven't. Still Rift, Video Dave, Open Mike Eagle, they're all really, really done. It's done super well. It's a symmetrical trio. A lot of beats from Child Actor, who is really, really on a run. And I think there's a lot more to come.
Yeah.
What I've heard behind the scenes, but they're not so behind the scenes. There's more coming. That and I've been listening to the No Worries record. That I thought that was really good. Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
fun. It's funny. It's just a funny concept. It's like, oh, like I was like the worst, but you left me. That's fucked up. Why did you leave me? You shouldn't have left me. The consequences of my actions, like that. This is insane. But it's fucking beautiful. It's a great record.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd say those two have been probably what I've been listening to the most lately. And that's like just the past week or whatever. I heard some of the new Lupe. It sounded really dope, actually.
Yeah.
Before that,
Oh,
Cav and Makami, I think, are two of the better records that came out this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
I still have Cav at number one. I still
Yeah.
like I
Fair.
can't. It's just
Fair.
one of those things where it feels like you wouldn't change anything about it. Like anything. Like it's all in stone for me already. Like yeah, shout out to Cav. 7, what are you rocking with?
I was gonna say Previous Industries also. I like the play of their voices.
Yep.
Just like Dave and I did a record, but like whenever Dave pops up, he has such a distinct delivery and his tone is so interesting, and it's cool to hear a lot more of Rift. So that, and then I'll be honest, I haven't fully listened to all of it, but the Wave Generators. I'm a Hike Keach fan. I love the energy in all of his beats, and I just like the idea of the whole thing and sort of them approaching it from a performance aspect and just all the energy in it. Yeah, that, and when we did the release show in Brooklyn, and Feek and Lungs, they had Akai Solo come out, and just watching them, and I'm older. I was sort of jealous of the energy and just the enthusiasm that they all have, and just I feel like they have captured something and they're onto something. And it's fun watching it. Like I just feel like there's something so pure about what they're doing, and you can kind of just like feel the energy of it.
I love that. And to bring Castro in, I think I want to kick a theory based on what 7 said. Whenever I talk about, to me, there's only one producer I would ever comp to August Fanon, and it's Small Pro. Though to me, those two are there's something connected to me about that. And I feel that way about Keach with The Expert. Hike Keach and The Expert to me are working in this psychedelic boom bap world together, separate, and we had them on the show together, and it was dope. But like their journeys feel linked to me in a way, which is weird. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I wouldn't, because the Expert is Irish, so I
Right.
always just like, he's over there in a sense because he's literally, I don't know if he's in Ireland or whatever. So and he just did a great project with Stick Figure. I think they just hit their 1 year anniversary of that project.
And not really.
Not really.
And he did another project with Not Really this year called Blip. So yeah, so X, yeah, big ups to Wave Generators. I really love what they were doing. No, that's an interesting parallel. Interesting. But again, I don't know if I always put my foreign producers in one basket and my
Right,
stateside cast in another.
Yep.
I also want to highlight Jesse the Tree's project, Not Fade Away, which
Oof.
will be re-released on Chong Wizard Records on vinyl in the coming months. So PPI on that, and Feek and Lungs all day. Listen to everything they put out, everything they do. And I'm big on Pink Seafood all day, every day. Listen to everything the man does, everything he
Same.
puts out, all instrumentals, all versions, all iterations. Listen to Pink Seafood every Sunday. Make it part of your Sabbath, because if you really want to get into them gates, you're gonna need
Yep.
that information. And he has a lot of it. And yeah, that's who I'm bumping these days.
Leather Boulevard. Get that
All
Leather
day.
Boulevard.
Leather Boulevard is the one.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, I went up to Jesse the Tree. Like he's so cool to talk to and hang out with at the show. I said, don't let anyone narrow your focus into just focusing on one thing. Do everything. Because you have the skills to do everything. Just do everything. You know, sing, rap, you know, do bangers, do slow shit, do all of it, you know, because you have that. You know, your skill set is out there. So take advantage. Yeah.
Right.
Kay, you have anything? Anything?
I mean, I'm listening to the Lupe
Lupe
Fiasco
Samurai.
album.
Mm.
And then I got my friend put me on, and I know this is like a late pass. So Depeche Mode, the Violator album.
Oh, okay.
I really like that album.
I love that. That's a great recommendation. The
Nice.
yeah. We're trying to have a Lupe episode with OG Nick Marsh from Focus Hip Hop and Secret House Against. So that'll be dope. To have
Cool.
that coming through. Thank you everybody for this. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
got
appreciate
thank you.
you.
Having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Keep
All right.
keeping on.
Keep-
Well,